Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We have a huge week incoming for markets and for Tesla stock. Here in this video, I will break down all of the earnings, the economic data, and the news that has come out in the last 24 hours that you need to know before tomorrow morning. All of this comes as we just had the best May for the S&P since 1990. That's gotta be a good sign in which a lot of people are still very bearish on this market. I think that could be a mistake. But first, before we get into all of this information, hit that like button as well as subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and let's get started. So let's start with some of the news here. China's Defense Ministry spokesperson says the US is accustomed to using the Shangri-La dialogue to create disputes, sow discord, and seek selfish interests. And China's Defense Ministry spokesperson says on the South China Sea issue, the United States is the biggest threat to regional peace and stability. Now, Vought, someone within the White House, says the White House has executive tools and that the Trump admin is not taking rescission off the table. He also says that Trump is moving ahead with his agenda promised during the campaign. White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett also spoke on ABC this morning, as well as Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent says, he is the Treasury Secretary, the U.S. will never default on its debt. White House senior advisor Hassett says that Trump expects a call with President of China this week. Bessent says that China is withholding products essential to the industrial supply chain. That is the whole rare earth export restrictions that China has on the US. And I think China is still hesitant to remove those because of the partially semiconductor restrictions we have on China. And US Treasury Secretary Bessent says, I believe Trump will talk to China's President Xi very soon. And I'm sure positive things come out of that conversation. Now, coming this week, we do have some pretty important earnings. Although Nvidia is out the way, all of your big tech is out the way, there's some big ones still. I mean, from a broader kind of macro perspective, from an AI or data perspective as well, or software perspective. So tomorrow, you don't have much. You have Campbell's in the morning, but that's pretty much it. Tuesday in the morning, you have Dollar General, Neo, Ollie's, Ferguson, and some others. Dollar General specifically is interesting because they tend to cater to lower income consumers, just, historically. And if Dollar General has good things to say, if they beat on earnings, that's going to be a really good sign for the consumer, although they've been under pressure for years. I don't expect it to change, but if it does, that could actually be a pretty damn positive macro catalyst for markets. Again, you have Neo, which could specifically be important to some of automakers like Tesla. If they have good or bad earnings, that could definitely, move some of those stocks around. Tuesday and after hours, you have CrowdStrike, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, Guidewire, Asana, Mama's Creations, Sportsman's Warehouse, and some others. Wednesday pre-market, Dollar Tree, again, same as Dollar General there. Wednesday and after hours, you have MongoDB, big AI software name, PVH, luxury, clothing, Five Below, Planet, ChargePoint, and some others. Again, Mongo for AI could be big. PVH for clothes, right? Higher income consumer could be big. Five Below's had some issues for a while, but still consumer related name. Thursday pre-market, Sienna, Cracker Barrel, Toro, Victoria's Secret, and Duluth Trading Company. Thursday and after hours, Broadcom, DocuSign, Lululemon, Samsara, and some others. And again, Broadcom, big AI name. DocuSign, big, software / AI name. Lulu, consumer, huge consumer name, higher income consumers. I think that could actually be a big story of this week. How is the consumer doing with Dollar General, PVH, Dollar Tree, Lulu, even Cracker Barrel? Okay, So even though some of these earnings, besides Broadcom and Mongo, they're not, Dollar General maybe, they're not going to move the broader market. Specific sectors will be important to watch from the earnings lineup we have this week. Now, as far as economic data, it's going to be a huge week as well. Starting off on Monday, you have the final numbers for S&P Global Manufacturing PMI coming out for May. That is at 9:45 in the morning. At 10 o'clock in the morning, you have ISM Manufacturing PMIs for May, expecting roughly numbers in line with last month. You also get employment, expecting that to move up a little bit. Construction spending month over month expected at positive 0.3%. New orders expected to go up as well, and manufacturing prices also expected to go up. All of these other components, if they go up, are good, besides manufacturing prices. If prices fall and all of these other components go up, that's a good thing. Fed Logan will speak at 10:15 in the morning. Fed Goolsbee will speak around 1 p.m., and that's pretty much it for tomorrow. On Tuesday, you have JOLTS job openings. This is actually a big one because, again, if you're a business and you're looking to hire 5 employees, you're probably doing better than if you're only looking to hire 1 employee. Okay, so job openings are typically like the first thing to decline with a weakening labor market. I mean, before you fire somebody, you're probably going to stop hiring, right? That's pretty commonsensical. Last month, you had 7.192 million job openings. You're expecting that number to fall to about 7.05 million job openings. Factory orders month over month are expected to fall negative 3.1%. Job quits are expected to be 3.3 million. And the RCM TIPP Economic Optimism Index is expected to rise from 47.9 to 48.3. You will get a speech from Fed Goolsbee at about 1 p.m. and Fed Logan speaks at about 3:30 p.m. And that's your day for Tuesday. On Wednesday, you get the ADP employment change, essentially the private jobs report. You're expecting around 120,000 job ads. Last month was you were at 62,000, so that would actually be a pretty damn good number. Fed Bostic speaks at 8:30 in the morning. The Bank of Canada has their Fed meeting. They're expected to not do anything, not cut rates, not raise, just hold. ISM services PMIs, this is a big one. Expecting things to get better pretty much across the board slightly. For your headline number, expected to go from 51.6 to 52. Business activity expected to rise from 53.7 to 54. Services employment expected to rise from 49 to 50. New orders expected to rise from 52.3 to 52.6. And prices are expected to rise from 65.1 to 65.7. Again, all of these other components can rise, and that's good, as long as prices fall or come in line with expectations. And that, again, comes out at 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. That is going to be data the markets really react to. Now, Challenger job cuts is another interesting one. We spiked to very much recession levels, like almost 300,000 Challenger job cuts over the last couple of months. And you've fallen now. Last month was 105,000. You're expecting this number to rise a little bit to 120,000. These are planned layoffs. Okay, so pretty important data set to look at, in my view. That comes out at 7:30 in the morning on Thursday. You get the balance of trade as well for April, expecting negative 66.6 billion. Again, we're expecting a big drop in imports, which was actually the largest drop you've seen in like ever on a month-over-month basis. So I'm expecting that data's probably fully priced in at this point. Initial jobless claims are expected to fall from last week's 240,000 down to 235,000. So expecting a drop there. Lots of secondary data points as well. Unit labor cost, non-farm productivity quarter over quarter. You get an ECB press conference, couple other things, but that's pretty much it. Also, watch out for bond auctions this week if we do have any. I haven't seen any notable ones here on the calendar, but if we do have any, those could also be big in this environment. Now, on Friday, you get your big data. Non-farm payrolls for May expected at 130,000. Last month was at 177,000. So you are expecting non-farm payrolls to come in on the weak side. Now, typically when we have low expectations, we like come in better. Okay, we normally beat. That would be great news if non-farm payrolls actually come in stronger than we think. Why? Because there's still a good chunk of Wall Street that's concerned about a recession this year. If the labor market continues to hold up, well, that's going to be a good thing, right? You don't want to see the labor market weaken. Okay. Now, the unemployment rate for May is expected at 4.2%. Again, that can go up, it can go down a little bit. As long as it's not moving a lot or fast, I don't think the markets are going to really react too much to it. You get average hourly earnings month over month and year over year, as well as the participation rate, government payrolls, manufacturing payrolls, and non-farm payrolls, private, all of those expected to roughly be in line with some of the numbers you were at last month. So you're actually not expecting a huge change in the non-farm payrolls. And honestly, I think the expectation is probably too low. I think we're probably going to come in higher than 130,000, in my opinion. In your Tesla stock news today, Sawyer Merritt wrote on X, it's officially Tesla Robotaxi month. This month will mark the beginning of a new era for the company, which, again, I don't think a lot of people are even, thinking about right now. As far as hedge funds and institutions, they're still like, okay, it's not here yet. We can't model, what scalability is going to look like or how this could affect the numbers, blah, blah, blah. And they're really downplaying the impact that Robotaxi is going to have on Tesla's business. That, I think, is a fact at this point. Okay. And I think people are going to be really off sides on Tesla. We've talked about this before, but hedge funds and institutions continue to short more Tesla stock. And that seems like a losing game to me. Now, option activity on Friday was very positive, as we talked about before. You had 327 different trades from hedge funds and institutions, totaling about $300 million with a positive order value of 83%. So hedge funds and institutions were quite positive on Tesla on Friday. As far as the overall short position, this thing is a ticking time bomb for the short sellers. You have 3.04% short interest of free float, which is the highest level you've been at in at least the last 3 months. You have $30.55 billion sold short in Tesla. So every dollar Tesla stock goes up, short sellers are getting screwed. Collectively, every dollar Tesla goes up, short sellers are losing about $85 million. Every dollar Tesla stock goes up, because that's how many shares are sold short. 85.23 million, which is a lot. Tesla, in fact, is the most heavily shorted stock in this market from a dollar amount perspective. With, I believe, an improving backdrop in markets, clarity on the tax bill, hopefully progress on trade deals, economy not weakening as much as people thought, inflation that I don't think is ultimately going to show up, so on and so forth. I think people are way too bearish on the broader markets. And specifically, they're way too bearish on Tesla, as we do have cheaper, lower-priced models still coming this year, as far as we last knew. We have the Robotaxi launch coming here in the next 12 days or so. It doesn't seem like now would be the best time to be bearish on Tesla. Again, maybe I'm delusional there, but I think the short interest is literally a ticking time bomb for Tesla, and it's only a matter of time before Tesla stock really explodes to the upside. And overall for this week, while I don't know how the trade headlines are going to come out, I do think it's going to be a good week. I think we can start to, kind of rebound a little bit, especially following Friday's sell-off for Tesla. As a lot of people rightfully kind of mentioned, this was probably a buy the rumor, sell the news situation with Elon, leaving the government on Friday. That makes sense to me as to why Tesla underperformed so much. I mean, other names, were down as well. Like Nvidia was down about 3%, down another half of 1% Friday and after hours. Like, that one's a weird one too. They just had earnings, but Tesla being down almost 3.5% in regular trading, down another third of 1% in after hours trading on Friday, does seem like a little bit of that sell the rumor or buy the rumor, sell the news, in regards to, again, Elon coming back to, as he says, sleeping on the factory floor at Tesla and at his other companies. I feel like that was pretty dramatic on Friday, and we're probably going to recover quite a bit of that here very soon. And again, I think as we get into this week more, people are really going to start focusing on the robotaxi event. And again, I don't know what kind of trade headlines are going to come out, but with a call between Trump and China's president, I'm sure that is a positive catalyst versus a negative catalyst. I'm sure there's going to be some progress towards a deal on that phone call. It's hard to imagine for me they get on the phone and then it just goes bad. Like that seems unlikely to me. So let me know your thoughts on all of this down below in the comment section. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.